Salvete omnes. If you'd like to support the channel along with these patrons, there's a link in the description box below. We're going to skip ahead a little since the Bible is long and some passages are more instructive than others, and more suited to our current level of Latin. This first part you can probably understand almost entirely. Dīxit autem Deus, Fީant luminaria in firmāmento caeli, ut dividant diem ac noctem. Luminaria should be easy to figure out since we have the words luminary and illuminate in English. But it's a weird third declension noun that looks like a verb in its singular form, luminare. So this word can mean both a light and to illuminate. But in this sentence, we have the plural nominative form. Luminaria is the subject of this sentence, which is why the verb is Fީant instead of the singular fiat. Because remember, Fީant is a passive subjunctive form, and what is being made is the subject, so the verb has to match this word's form. And can you tell what declension firmāmento and caeli are in? Ablative and genitive, respectively. So we have so far, and God said, "May there be lights made in the firmament of heaven." Then we have this word ut, which we have seen before but has a different function here. Before we saw it followed by the regular form of the verb, but when ut is followed by the subjunctive form, it has the meaning so that or in order to. So this part means so that they may divide the day and night. This continues. Et sint in signa, et tempora, et dies, et annos. Sint looks a lot like sunt, doesn't it? This is the subjunctive form of this word. And signa also looks a lot like signal, right? This word means sign or signal, among other things. The weird thing about the word in Latin, though, is that it doesn't only mean in or into. When it is followed by a noun in the accusative form, it can also mean for. And the convenient part about Latin is that we don't have to keep repeating the word in. We just put all of the relevant nouns in the accusative form, as we can see here. So this line means, "And may they, the lights, be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years." To me, this seems kind of grammatically awkward, but what it seems to be saying is, let the sun and the moon be used to indicate the seasons, days, and years, and for directions, maybe? At any rate, the King James Version also uses this translation. Next we have ut lūceant in firmāmento caeli et illuminant terram. And here again, ut is followed by a subjunctive form, so it means so that, or in order to. So the first part of this sentence means, so that they may shine in the firmament of heaven. And I'm sure that you can guess that the end of this sentence means, and may they illuminate the earth, because of course this verb is in the subjunctive form. The next sentence is, Fēcitque Deus duo magna luminaria, luminare maius, ut praesit iei, et luminare minus, ut praesit nocti, et stelas. The first part, of course, means, and God made two great lights. And here, luminare is the singular form of luminaria, as mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, the neutral form of the next word is harder to recognize. In masculine and feminine form, this word is maior, and it is the comparative degree of magnus, so it means greater. And later in this sentence we see luminare minus. Minus is the antonym of maior, so it means lesser. Then we have this scary looking word praesit. But remember, we saw this word esit in the last lesson in the phrase quod esit bonum. Do you remember what form it is? The imperfect subjunctive. And prae is the same as the English prefix pre. So praesum means be before, or I am before. And with a little stretch of the imagination, we can see how this could also mean to rule over, like if you are before or above someone. But in this sentence, praesum is in the subjunctive form because of this little word ut. And there's one final difficulty. The words diei and nocti are in genitive form. So far, we have only seen the genitive form used as the possessive form of a noun, which is its most common use. But it can also be used with verbs, as in the sentence, I accuse you of murder. Here, of murder is technically a genitive form. So, ut praesit diei is grammatically really complex, but simply means to rule the day. To capture the complexity of the grammar, though, the translation, so that it may be in charge of the day, might be more instructive. Altogether, then, this sentence means a greater light to rule the day and a lesser light to rule the night and the stars. It should be pretty clear from the words stellar and constellation that stella means star. The next sentence is fortunately much easier. Et posuit eas Deus in firmāmento caeli, ut lūceant super terram, et praesint diei ac nocti, et dividerent lucem ac tenebras. Posuit means to pose something or place it somewhere, but this is the perfect past tense, and it is an irregular verb whose present tense is pono. It usually has an N, but for a few forms, the N changes to an S because it's irregular. Looking at the rest of this first part, can you guess what eas means? Them. The nominative forms of this word are is, ea, id, which can mean he, she, and it, as well as this and that. This is simply one way we can refer back to something without having to repeat the word again. So this sentence means, and he set them in the firmament of heaven, so that they may shine over the earth, and so that they may rule the day and night, and so that they may divide the light and the darkness. As I mentioned before, this is the biblical cosmology, where the stars, sun, and moon are fixed in a solid dome over the earth. Okay, let's go through this passage in full. Dīxit autem Deus, FÍant luminaria in firmāmento caeli, ut dividant diem ac noctem, et sint in signa, et tempora, et dies, et annos, ut lūceant in firmāmento caeli, et illuminant terram, et factum est ita. Fēcitque Deus duo magna luminaria, luminare maius, ut praesit diei, et luminare minus, ut praesit nocti, et stellas. Et posuit eas Deus in firmāmento caeli, ut lūcerent super terram, et praesint diei ac nocti, et dividerent lucem ac tenebras. Et vidit Deus quod esset bonum. This lesson presented some complex concepts, but you don't need to necessarily become an expert on these topics in one lesson. Just let them slowly sink in, and keep an eye out for them when you're reading. Okay, see you next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and if you can, help support the channel on Patreon, where there are audio downloads and transcripts of each dialogue and story. Gratias!